आचार्य जी, मैं बहुत कृतज्ञ हूँ आपके साथ ये लम्हा बिता पा रही हूँ और शायद अपने मन की उलझनों को सुलझा पाऊँ। परफॉर्मिंग आर्टिस्ट हूँ जैसा आप जानते हैं, और आपको 3 साल से सुन रही हूँ। मम्मी पापा भाई बहन पूरे ख़ानदान को भी अपनी ही भौतिक दुनिया में है ज़बरदस्ती सुनाती हूँ। तो बदलाव पता नहीं कितना आ रहा है, पर अपना एक एक्सपीरियंस ऐसा है कि मैं मुंबई की चकाचौंध को छोड़कर, मेरा जबकि वेब सीरीज़ बिल्कुल बुलंदी पे था उस टाइम पे, एक किया था मैंने काम एज एन अभिनेत्री, तो लेकिन छोड़कर फिर मैं आई यहाँ पर कोविड के दौरान। और 1 साल हो गया है। उत्तराखंड हालांकि हूँ यहाँ से पहाड़ी, लेकिन यहाँ इसको जानती नहीं थी। आई वाज लाइक अ टूरिस्ट हियर, क्योंकि फौजी किड एंड एवरीथिंग, और बैकग्राउंड ऐसा रहा, 9 schools चेंज ऐसा। सो फाइनली आई वांटेड टू बेसिकली रिकनेक्ट विथ माय रूट्स here in Uttarakhand. So entire 1 year went about basically just, traversing the uncharted territories and writing poetry, singing songs, and basically this was a long awaited solo trip. I completely left, couldn't take Bombay and the overwhelming vastness of the city, or so-called, life. So I saw this smugness amongst villagers. I visited my native place called Toli. ये ancestral का घर है मेरे वहाँ पर, almost 78 years old. So I saw this depth and this stillness in the minds and faces of all these villagers. And after spending 1 year, going about to and fro everywhere, wherever my inner calling took me, now at this point in time, since it's been a year, and then you get a little practical also, which you should, that okay, I need to now get back in life in the so-called winning mode and whatever things that you tell yourself to up the game and be out there. So now I'm readying myself to again transition into not the concrete jungle per se, क्योंकि उस life में जाना बहुत मुश्किल होगा, क्योंकि roles वही चुन पाऊंगी जो which actually demonstrate who I am authentically as a person. तो इस वजह से उस काम के लिए तो I've completely in my head bid adieu to that. But एक सवाल मेरे पास है कि ये seesaw क्या है? What is this seesaw? Because why do I seek solitude and companionship all the same?
Actually, it is not seesaw. It is just one thing that you seek and we all seek. It's just that we seek that one thing through these two diametrically opposite ways. Sometimes we lean towards one way, sometimes we lean towards the other. So it appears like a seesaw. But irrespective of the side we lean towards, we are trying for the one same common thing. When we crave for company, it is something that we want through that company. One doesn't want to be with another person or at a particular place for no reason at all. There is always a reason, and that's why we prefer to be with certain people and we reject certain people. We like certain places, certain books, certain situations more than others, because no person, no thing, no object is an end in itself. It's a means towards something much more important. It's just that we do not know what that important thing is. Though the absence of that important thing in our lives makes itself felt, it's because it makes itself felt that we seek company. So ours is a strange situation. We want something, and we want something that's terribly important. That's so vitally important that if we do not have it, we just can't even breathe. Every breath becomes an exercise in angst. And at the same time, we do not know what that important thing is. We want it without knowing what it is. We experience its absence, but even an experience of that absence is no clear indicator of what that thing affirmatively is. Its absence can be experienced, its presence is beyond experience, but that's something we do not know. So we seek its presence through experience. What kind of experience? Somebody sitting next to me, I'm visiting places, I'm switching jobs, I'm reading something special, I'm visiting an esoteric place, that kind of an experience. So we are trying to counter an experience of absence through an experience of abundance. I have much, and I hope that this abundance will fill up the absence within me. It fails, obviously, and when it fails, then we seek solitude. So the seesaw continues. We rush towards company without knowing exactly what we need company for. So we get into, if not wrong, then suboptimal kind of company. And when we realize that it's not working out, then we break away and we rush towards either our study, and we lock ourselves inside it, or we rush to a mountain top, or to a jungle, or to a lonely beach, and it doesn't work out even that way, because even the beach is an object, just as a person is an object. So we run away from the person, the object, to the beach or the jungle or the book, the object, and we get defeated both ways, both times, but we still keep nourishing hope, and so the cycle continues. We never really break out from it. And,
so this constant pulling of my soul into different directions.
Because we do not know what that one final, real, authentic direction is. So we allow ourselves to be pulled into 40 different directions.
And there are contradictions happening, at the same time. So also, just, very rightly said by you. So, there's this thing where they said, you always say that listen to the source, right? Where is this coming from? All your decisions, listen to the source. Kahan se aa raha hai? Srot kya hai? So there are times, because mind obviously is a devilish place. So how can you tell, like, a divine will, as you say, how can you tell, if it is my will or a divine will? How can you differentiate? Because there are times when I'm like,
nothing really called a divine will.
Or say heart source. How do I differentiate, like, if this is just the voices in my head, or is this actually coming from the source?
You have to try your best. There is no formula really. You have to rely upon your sense, your intellect, as well as your past experience. There is something that you want to do, and there is hardly any newness in things that we want to do. We only try new variants, new versions of stuff we have already gone through. So, makes sense to pause and ponder, have I not already tried this before? Is this the first time I am attempting this? And usually, and if you are sharp enough and honest enough, the answer will be no, it's not at all an authentic attempt. It's not a greenfield venture. I have done this earlier in another way, another form, in another name, another situation, and I know what this pans out into, and still I am allowing some kind of an unwise hope to survive, only to suffer once again in much the same way I did at an earlier time. So, that is one thing. The Upanishads at one point very poignantly declare, they say, just remember the deed, remember the deed, remember the deed. Because you are not doing anything for the first time.
Remember the deed and remember the doer.
Yeah. If you can clearly see that being who you are, you really cannot change what you do. You will also see that the entire life has been a continuation of one single deed. We live such monotonous lives that even in our actions there is hardly any diversity, irrespective of what we are doing. I might be sipping tea, I might be purchasing clothes, I might be driving a car, might be delivering a lecture, might be sitting silent. I am essentially doing just one and same thing. So, if you can be insightful enough to see that one single action from one single acting tendency is continuously playing out, then there will be no speculation left regarding the result. And that is a great thing to see, because we are expecting a new result this time. No? The last attempt failed, and this time I want a new result. If I am able to see that what I am doing this time again is much the same as what I did the last time, then there is no ambiguity left about the result. The result now is an open secret. Right? If the last attempt failed, this one is doubly certain to fail. So, that will take away false hope, and that is a great reward, because if we are digging at the wrong places, there is obviously going to be no reward to quench our thirst. That is one thing. Remember whether this thing. Then again, I said use intellect to go beyond words. Words are such a deception to others and to ourselves. We tell ourselves, this is what I want to do, and the wording is just a camouflage. The fact is that all human beings are driven by certain very basic tendencies: fear, greed, jealousy, lust, anger. Even these 4, 5 or 6 tendencies can be reduced to just one: the tendency to falsely exist, the tendency to believe that something that does not exist exists. That is what the ego is, right? A self created existence, which really is not, but you have raised a phantom, you have raised a mirage, and you are living in it as if it is real. But that is a bit too abstract probably, right? So, we cannot catch that just because we want to have a mental existence, therefore we are doing this and doing that, and therefore the results will not be good for us. So, it is probably easier to go beneath the veneer of words and catch these 4-5 tendencies. If I am doing something, is it motivated by greed? Is there fear in it? What am I holding on to? What am I clutching? What am I afraid of? If you can see that, then it will be far easier to be discreet with your thoughts, actions, decisions. The dictionary is so full of words, The fact is, all those words, if the context is known, can be reduced to these 4-5 things. And words are not just words. Firstly, there are so many words. Secondly, the words carry value associations. For example, if you say ambition, it is something positive, it is a positive thing. Whereas, if you decode it, scratch the word and then dig deep into what it really is, you come to greed, and now you know what you are doing, what the source of your action is, and once you have put your finger on that, you know what it is going to result into, because you have done that before. Each one of us has done that before. So, why entertain oneself? Why say, well, stuff might be different this time, let us give it a chance. What is the point? It's as certain as the law of God. It's not going to change. The result of greed cannot be good for the greedy one.
So, is there is there like a parameter or maybe a yardstick? How do you quantify, say, your progress in the worldly arena versus, say, a spiritual evolution probably that you might have achieved? How do you quantify? Like, what is spirituality for a common man? Like,
the world exists for the sake of your spiritual progress. These are not two different axes. You cannot take them as mutually independent of each other. If you say there is someone who has progressed a lot on the worldly plane, but has not progressed at all on the spiritual plane, then it is not as if the fellow has done well 50% of the times and has failed 50% of the times. No, it is not that way. There is just one goal for which we exist, and our entire world exists, and the goal is contentment. We are born dissatisfied, frustrated, craving, groping, ignorant. That is our situation, and our journey through life gives us an opportunity to get out of the mess, rather the hell we were born into. So that is the means. You have a cricket bat to score runs, and if your bat does not help you score runs, what do you have it for? It might be a spectacular bat, shining surface, greatly balanced, coming from the best brand, well oiled, and everything else that goes with great bats. But if it doesn't score runs, it means nothing. Similarly, the only way to ascertain whether you have a great life or whether your progress through the world makes any sense or has any value is to ask, are my actions in the world, are my movements through the world making me inwardly more mature? If not, then whatever you are doing makes zero sense, which also tells you that there can be no formula with respect to how you are performing in the world. The only question ever to be asked is, my job, my family, my relationships, my knowledge, whatever I have gained in the world, whatever I have been doing since long, is all that contributing inwardly to me? If it's contributing inwardly, all good. If it's not contributing inwardly, no more questions need to be asked. We cannot say, I have fame, I have money, but I do not have satisfaction. The common grouse that we hear. It is foolish. The fellow is saying, I have this, but I do not have this. No, if you do not have that last one final thing, you do not have anything. So do not say you have fame and you have money. If you have fame and money, but not the real thing, then your fame and money are just burdens upon you. Not only have they not helped you reach the right place inside you, also you are continuously paying the price for having them, because they do not come easy or cheap. You work a lot to have them, and then you have to remain attentive to secure them, otherwise they just evaporate. So that's the only thing, and it's an absolute. One cannot have a diversity of opinions or fluctuating viewpoints in this regard. That we exist as dissatisfied entities is a fact. It is not somebody's dream. There is no subjectivity in it. It's not one person's opinion. It is a universal fact applicable to all human beings ever born. And if it's a universal fact, it's an absolute, then the purpose of life too is an absolute. If all of us exist in an inwardly suffering way, then the purpose of existence has to be the alleviation of this inner suffering. So act in a way that takes the inner angst away, and that has to be the only goal, the only parameter, the only criteria when it comes to making decisions large and small.
There was also another question of which basically I grouped them together, that worldly progress versus spiritual progress. So how do you know? You just said that if you are maturing inwardly and the source from where you're taking decisions are authentic and in line with who you are at your core, then probably you're going on the right direction, perhaps. So, but what about spiritual progress? Like, is it the same thing?
It is exactly the same thing. What else is spiritual progress?
This is what it means.
Inner maturity is spiritual progress.
Right.
Nothing else.
Because I spoke to a few of my people today, and I was telling them just an hour back that I'm going to be having a conversation with Acharya ji. So I asked them if you have any questions, so do tell me. So mostly this question trumped all other questions. Everybody was like, I'm just a common man. What is spirituality in my life? How do I balance? So it is.
Everybody is a common man.
Yeah.
Nobody is uncommon here.
Right.
We all have a common situation.
Exactly.
And that common situation is called the human condition of existence. Our common condition is of existence.
Human suffering, yeah.
Existence itself.
Existence, yeah.
You exist, I exist, he exists, she exists. That's what is common amongst all of us. We exist. And because we exist, the way we exist, we suffer. Our very existence is suffering. And that's the common thread that runs through the entire human population. So we all are common. So if someone says, what is spirituality for a common man? Exactly what it is for a so-called uncommon man. Which is, you are not all right. Nobody is all right. And we need to set ourselves right. Why? Is it a moral imperative? No. It's just that if you are not all right, what else can you want? What else can you want? I exist as a person who is not all right. So what else am I supposed to do? And even if you tell me that I am supposed to do something else, I am supposed to entertain myself, I am supposed to earn money, I am supposed to do this, that, fly around, how will that help me? And can I even ever accept that? Maybe temporarily. I'll say, fine, you told me that to just forget my suffering, I can go and have a game of chess. Fine, I'll go and do that. How long can I keep playing chess? The game will be over sooner than later. I'll be back to myself and I won't like it. So it's an existential imperative to be spiritual. One cannot avoid it. In fact, even those who avoid it are just being spiritual in their own absurd ways. There is nobody who cannot be spiritual, and the proof of that is everybody wants to be happy. If everybody wants to be happy, what does that tell about the human condition?
That we aspire to be in a better condition.
Yes, and what does it tell about our current condition?
That we are in pathetic.
We are in a pathetic condition. Yes, and that's what is common between all of us.
Yeah.
We all are in a pathetic condition. That would probably rankle some of us when we say our condition is pathetic. We want to believe we are doing well. Well, but that's not the fact. That's not the fact. We are not doing well. Nobody is doing well. The proof is that we all aspire happiness. We strive for this and that in 1,000 ways, and that's why desire exists at all. All desire is for happiness. Happiness in different forms, shapes, means. So set the goal right. Realize who you are and work for your own welfare. That's spirituality. You are a suffering being, and you have to work in a way that I had said alleviates. No? What does alleviation mean? Make it higher. I did not say reduce. I did not even say ameliorate. I said alleviate, sublimate. Take your suffering to a higher level. That's spirituality. People who are not spiritual, they too want to reduce their suffering. But how? Not by taking their suffering to a higher level, but by running circles around their suffering.
Yeah.
So there is no alleviation of suffering there. What do we find there? We find transmutation of suffering. How? I was suffering at the hands of my spouse. So I ran away to commit myself more to my professional life, and now I am suffering more at the hands of my boss. Suffering has neither been alleviated nor been reduced. It has
Just been transmuted.
been transmuted or transfigured. One kind of suffering is turned into another kind to befool the sufferer, so that the sufferer can keep believing that he is doing well, he is succeeding, he is reaching somewhere. He is not reaching anywhere. So, once you accept that there is this condition, we exist, we are small, there is the mind, and the mind is forever desirous, and there is some abstract thing that the mind wants, and because the mind desperately wants it, therefore it is very, very important, solely by virtue of the fact that you always want it. If there is something that you always want, it becomes important. It is important. And you realize that you probably cannot just wish away this fact. Then you start taking decisions of a different nature. Then you realize that happiness is a stupid goal. So your actions then do not target happiness. They target a certain alleviation, a certain height, a grandeur. You do not just run around on that same old lowly plane to suffer from one place to the other. You realize that the plane itself is junk. And you declare that you don't want to exist there. If suffer I must, why should I not suffer in something worthwhile? Why should I suffer in that same old pursuit of happiness? I would rather suffer for something more worthwhile.